अस्सलाम एवरीवन, मैं हूं वसीम बिजनेस वाला। इसके आप लोगों को पता है डेली बेसिस हमारे टास्क होते हैं, हम अपने टास्क करते हैं। आज का हमारा टास्क है बोले नहीं। तो हम माया के साथ सवाल जवाब करते हैं। माया से हम सवाल पूछते हैं, माया जवाब देता है। तो my first question is to you: what is the basic
I'm all
of
ears.
food in human life?
I'm ready when you are. What's the question?
What is the basic purpose of food in human life?
At its most basic, food is the fuel that keeps the engine running. It gives us the energy to move, the building blocks to repair our bodies, and the nutrients our brains need to actually function. Without it, everything just shuts down. But beyond the biology, it's also how we connect. Sharing a meal is one of the oldest ways humans bond. Do you think the biological side is more important or the social side?
Okay, my next question is how has food become more than just a basic necessity?
It's evolved into this huge part of our identity. We use it to tell stories about where we come from, to celebrate milestones, and even to express love. Now we have things like food trends and a whole culture around how things are sourced or prepared, which turns a simple meal into an experience. Do you think that's a good thing, or does it make eating feel too complicated?
Okay, my third question is what role does food play in different culture?
It's basically a cultural fingerprint. Each culture uses ingredients and flavors to tell its own story, and it's often the heartbeat of a community. Think about how specific dishes are tied to holidays or family traditions. It turns eating into a way of preserving history and passing down a legacy. Do you have a favorite dish from another culture that you love?
How does food reflect a country's traditions and history?
It's like a living record of everything a country's been through. It's in the ingredients they have access to, the techniques they developed to survive, and even the scars of trade and colonization. For example, a dish might exist because people had to be resourceful with what they had, or because a new spice arrived from across the ocean and changed everything. Does that make sense? Or do you want an example of a specific country?
Okay, how does food reflect? Sorry, why do people feel emotionally connected to certain foods?
It's usually because food is a direct line to our memories. A scent or a specific flavor can trigger a memory of a person or a place before you even realize it's happening. It's that comfort food feeling where you're not just tasting the dish, but you're tasting a feeling of safety or being cared for. Do you have a food that instantly takes you back to a specific time in your life?
Okay, Maya, how does food brings families together?
It creates a shared space where the outside world just kind of fades away. It's that ritual of sitting down together, the conversation that flows more naturally when you're sharing a plate, and the common goal of just enjoying something good. It turns a meal into a designated time for checking in and catching up. Do you feel like those family meals are the best time for the real conversations to happen?
Okay, why are traditional foods important to culture identity?
Because they're like an anchor. They keep people connected to their roots and remind them who they are. even if they're far from home. When a tradition is passed down through a recipe, it's not just about the taste, it's about the pride and the shared history of a group of people. Without those traditional flavors, a lot of that cultural glue just disappears. Do you think it's possible for a culture to lose its identity if its traditional foods are forgotten?
How do festivals and celebrations influence the food people eat?
They turn eating into an event. Festivals usually bring out the most special, labor intensive dishes that you wouldn't normally make on a Tuesday. It's less about sustenance and more about abundance and symbolism, like eating specific foods to bring luck or mark a new season. It makes the act of eating feel sacred or celebratory rather than just a routine. Do you have a favorite holiday meal that you look forward to every year?
Okay. How has globalization changed eating habits around the world?
Definitely does. It's turned the world into this giant potluck. Now you can find sushi in a small town in the Midwest or tacos in Tokyo, which is amazing for variety, but it also means some of those local hyper specific traditions are starting to fade as everyone starts eating the same global brands. Do you think we're gaining more than we're losing with that trade?
Okay. What are the advantages and disadvantages of fast food?
The biggest advantage is obviously the convenience. It's designed to be fast and cheap, which is a lifesaver when you're in a rush. But the downside is that it's usually stripped of the nutrition your body actually needs, replaced by a ton of salt, sugar, and fats that make you feel sluggish later. It's basically a trade off between saving time now and paying for it with your health later. Which one do you think usually wins out for most people?
Okay. How has social media influenced food trends?
It's turned food into a visual art form. Now, we've got Instagrammable dishes and viral TikTok recipes that can make a random ingredient famous overnight. It creates this fast cycle where people chase the next aesthetic trend rather than the flavor. Do you find yourself wanting to try foods just because they look cool online?
Why do people enjoy trying foods from different countries?
It's like a mini vacation for your taste buds. It's a way to experience a different part of the world without actually leaving your neighborhood. Plus, there's a certain thrill in the unknown, trying something you can't name or a flavor profile you've never encountered before. It's a form of curiosity and openness that makes life feel a bit bigger. Do you usually go for things you're familiar with, or do you like to pick the weirdest thing on the menu?
How does food help people connect with each other, with other cultures?
It's the easiest way to start a conversation. Food is a universal language. You don't need a translator to appreciate a great meal. When you try a dish from another culture, you're not just eating, you're acknowledging that culture's history and values. It breaks down barriers because it's an invitation into someone else's world through something we all have to do every day. Do you think sharing a meal is the fastest way to make a stranger feel like a friend?
What makes a dish become a national symbol?
It's usually a mix of history, availability, and a bit of collective pride. When a dish uses ingredients that are native to the land and reflects the way people have lived for generations, it starts to feel like a mirror of the country itself. Then, as people travel or move, they carry that dish with them as a piece of home, and it becomes the thing that represents them to the rest of the world. It's almost like a shorthand for a whole identity. Do you think a country can have more than one national symbol, or should there be just one definitive dish?
Okay, how does food represent a person's lifestyle?
It's like a window into their daily priorities, whether it's someone who preps every meal on Sunday because they're chasing a high performance fitness goal, or someone who leans on street food because they're living a fast-paced urban life. What's on the plate usually tells you how they spend their time and what they value. It's a map of their health goals, their budget, and even their stress levels. Do you feel like your own eating habits reflect where you are in life right now?
Okay, why is healthy eating important in today's world?
Because we're fighting a war on two fronts. On one side, we have these super processed foods that are designed to be addictive and convenient. On the other, we've got a more sedentary lifestyle where we aren't moving as much as people did 100 years ago. Healthy eating is basically the only way to keep our bodies from crashing under the pressure of the modern world. It's not just about living longer, it's about actually having the energy to enjoy the life you're living. Do you feel like it's harder to eat healthy now than it was for previous generations?
What are the effects of an unhealthy diet?
It's a slow slide into feeling just off. You start with the brain fog and the midday crashes where you just want a nap for 3 hours. Then it hits your physical health. I'm actually Maya. Was that a slip or are you thinking of someone else?
Okay, how can schools encourage healthy eating habits?
They could start by making the healthy choice the easy choice. Like instead of just telling kids that vegetables are good, schools can integrate them into the curriculum. Garden projects where kids actually grow their own food, or cooking classes that show them how to make something that tastes great without a ton of sugar. When kids feel a sense of ownership over their food, they're way more likely to actually eat it. Do you think kids would be more
Okay, how
open
does food
to healthy
affect physical and mental health?
It's a total two-way street. Physically, it's the building blocks. Your organs, skin, and muscles are literally made from what you eat. You're fueling with the good stuff, everything runs smooth. But the mental side is where it gets really interesting. There's this huge connection between the gut and the brain. So when you're eating things that cause inflammation or massive sugar crashes, it can mess with your mood, focus, and even your anxiety levels.
Why
Do you
should
find that
people
your
avoid
mood
wasting food?
changes depending on what you've eaten? Because it's a waste of everything that went into it. All the water, the land, the labor, and that disappears into a landfill. Plus, with so many people in the world struggling to get enough to eat, throwing away perfectly good meals feels like a huge missed opportunity to help someone else. Do you think most people waste food because they're careless or just because they buy more than they actually?
Causes of food waste.
It's usually a weirdly high standard for how food should look. We toss things because they've hit a best by date that isn't even a hard safety deadline. Then you have the supply chain, where entire shipments of produce get dumped because they're the wrong shape or color for a store shelf. It's almost like we've prioritized perfection over actual usability. Do you think we're too picky about how our food looks? Few simple shifts
Okay,
in
how can
how you think about your
individuals
fridge,
reduce food waste
like
at
making a
home?
shopping list so you don't overbuy, base tacos, even something as small as storing your greens properly to keep them from wilting can make a huge difference. It's basically just about being more mindful of what you already have. Do you have a habit of letting things go bad in the crisper drawer, or are you pretty organized?
Okay. Why is sustainable food production important?
Giving anything back. If we keep using the same aggressive farming methods, we'll eventually strip the soil of all its nutrients and run out of clean water. Sustainable production is about finding a balance so we can feed everyone today without making it impossible for people to eat 100 years from now. It's basically the difference between mining the earth and gardening it. Do you think most people actually care where their food comes from? Or are they just focused on the price tag?
Okay, tell me that how does climate change affect food production?
It basically throws the whole system into chaos. Unpredictable weather, like extreme droughts or random floods, can wipe out entire harvests in a matter of days. Then you have shifting temperatures that push crops into areas where they used to grow or make them fail completely because the timing of the seasons is off. Makes food prices jump and puts a lot of pressure on the regions that are already struggling the most. Do you think we'll eventually find a way to grow food in any environment, or should we focus more on protecting the land we have?
Okay, what is the importance of local and seasonal food?
It's basically a win win for your health and the planet. Eating local and seasonal means your food hasn't spent days in a shipping container, so it's usually fresher and packed with more nutrients. Plus, it supports the farmers in your own community instead of giant global corporations. It's also way more in sync with how our bodies actually evolved to eat different foods for different seasons. Do you prefer to shop at big supermarkets or do you like the idea of a farmer's market?
How has technology changed the way food is produced?
It's completely transformed the process from vertical farming that allows us to grow greens in the middle of a city to genetically modified crops that can survive droughts. We're basically rewriting the rules of nature. Then you've got precision agriculture, where drones and AI monitor every single plant to make sure it gets exactly the right amount of water and fertilizer. It's incredibly efficient, but it also moves us further away from the traditional dirt and seed way of doing things. Do you think all this high tech farming is a good thing, or does it feel a bit too artificial to you?
How has online food delivery changed people's eating habits?
It's turned eating into a click of a button experience. It's made it incredibly easy to access any cuisine in the world from your couch, but it's also pushed us toward more impulsive eating and away from the ritual of cooking or going out. We've traded the effort of preparation for immediate gratification, and it often means we're eating out of plastic containers while scrolling on our phones instead of actually focusing on the meal. Do you think that convenience is worth losing that connection to the process of eating?
What are the benefits of cooking at home?
It gives you total control over what actually goes into your body. You get to decide the salt, the oil, and the quality of ingredients, which is a huge win for your health. Plus, there's something really therapeutic about the process chopping, stirring, smelling the aromas. It's like a way to wind down after a long day. And obviously, it's way easier on the wallet than ordering in every night. Do you enjoy the process of cooking or do you see it more as a chore?
Why is street food popular in many countries?
It's the heartbeat of the city. It's a mix of convenience, affordability, and that raw, authentic energy you only get when food is made right in front of you on a busy sidewalk. Plus, it's often where you find the most honest versions of a country's flavors because it's designed for the people, not for a fancy menu. You think you'd prefer the chaos of a street food market or the quiet of a sit-down restaurant?
How does food influence tourism? Tourism.
It's basically a huge draw. People travel thousands of miles just for a specific taste. Think of people visiting Italy for the pasta or Japan for the sushi. It turns a destination into a sensory experience. And for a lot of people, the food is actually the main event of the trip, not the sightseeing. It's a way to explore a culture's soul through its kitchen. Do you think you'd be more likely to visit a country because of its famous food or because of its landmarks?
Okay, why do famous chefs have a strong influence on food culture?
Because they're basically the tastemakers of the industry. They can take a forgotten ingredient or a simple technique and turn it into a global trend overnight. Their platforms, whether it's fancy restaurant or a TV show, give them the power to redefine what we consider fine dining or healthy. It's kind of like how a fashion designer changes how we dress, but with flavors instead. Do you think we trust chefs too much when it comes to what's good food, or do they actually help us discover things we'd never try on our own?
How do advertisements affect people's food choices?
They're basically designed to hack our brains. Advertisements don't just sell food, they sell a feeling or a lifestyle. They use bright colors, perfect lighting, and a certain kind of music to make us believe that a specific burger or drink will make us happier, cooler, or more energized. It creates this artificial craving where we aren't actually hungry, but we're reacting to a visual trigger. Do you think we're mostly in control of what we want to eat, or do you think the ads actually win?
What is the difference between eating for survival and eating for enjoyment?
It's the difference between a chore and a celebration. Eating for survival is purely functional. It's about calories, nutrients, and just keeping the biological machine running. But eating for enjoyment is where the art comes in. It's about the textures, the memories, the social connection, and that feeling of genuine satisfaction. One is about staying alive, and the other is about actually feeling alive. Do you think you've had more moments where you're just fueling up, or moments where the food is the best part of your day?
How does food strengthen relationships between people?
It's the ultimate icebreaker. It creates this shared vulnerability and trustful human experience. When you share a meal, you're not just sharing food, you're sharing time, attention, and a conversation. It's a way of saying, I value you enough to slow down and be present with you. Do you feel like it's easier to talk about the hard stuff when you're eating, or do you prefer a different setting for those conversations?
Okay, why do different regions have different traditional dishes?
That it mostly comes down to what the land gives them. Like geography is everything. The soil, the climate, and the proximity to water dictate what can actually grow. Seafood, if you're in the mountains, it's more about hearty grains and preserved meats. Over time, those necessities turn into traditions and preferences that define a region's identity. Do you think you'd be more likely to enjoy a cuisine based on the climate you live in, or do you prefer flavors from somewhere completely different?
How can food be used to preserve culture or heritage?
It's one of the most resilient ways to keep a culture alive because recipes are like living history books. When a family passes down a specific way of preparing a dish, the exact pinch of this spice, the way they knead the dough. They're not just sharing a meal, they're preserving a set of skills, stories, and values that might otherwise be lost in the shuffle of time. It's a sensory bridge that lets a person feel connected to their ancestors, even if they've never met them. Do you think preserving these traditions is more about the food itself or the stories that go along with it?
Okay, what role does food play in hospitality?
It's the universal sign of welcome. In almost every culture, offering food is the first thing you do to make someone feel safe and accepted. It's a way of saying, I'm taking care of you without actually having to say it. It turns a house into a home. And if they've spent hours cooking a big meal, or if they just keep it simple and relaxed.
How can learning about food improve cultural and understanding?
It's like a crash course in empathy. When you learn about a culture's food, you're learning about their struggles, their triumphs, and the way they see the world. It forces you to realize that while our languages or customs might be different, the act of hunger and the joy of a good meal are things we all share. It turns the other into someone you can actually relate to. Do you think it's easier to understand someone's
Okay,
values if
thank you,
you've shared
Maya.
their traditional food? You're very welcome. We've really covered a lot of ground on the food
आज
front.
हमारा टास्क था कॉलेज
Since we're
में
on a roll, do you
कुछ आंसरिंग की अल्लाह हाफिज
I'd be happy